Hey, Pistons fans, what's going on? And welcome to another edition of Pistons Daily, a podcast where we bring you daily content about your Detroit Pistons. I'm your host, Tony Nash, and we got a lot to talk about today, as usual, and a lot of things happening. Big game tonight. We're going to get into the matchup tonight against Milwaukee. But there's a lot of early season prediction stuff happening right now. And before I get into that, I want to remind you we're on the road to 2,500 subscribers. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button so that you can be made aware right away when we drop fresh new content for you guys. And we want to make sure you get it first. So a lot of, as I said, a lot of early season predictions happening right now, as expected. We're about a month and a half into the season. We're going into the holidays. We're just a few weeks from the new year. And so you start to see a lot of sports analysts and sports writers putting out their early season predictions for different things. So we're going to just talk about those today. The first one is about the MVP ladder. And our boy Cade Cunningham is climbing the ladder. And do we think it's deserved? Is he having an MVP season? Of course, the fan in us says absolutely he's having an MVP season. But what do the statistics say? I got here a graphic that kind of gives, I wish I could show it to you on the screen. But right now, the leaders for the early season predictions has Joker at 1, SGA at 2, Luka Doncic at 3, Austin Reeves at 4. He's really coming on this season. They have 2 Lakers in the top 5. And then Cade Cunningham is number 5. Isaiah Hartenstein having a great season, number 6. Alperen Sengun, number 7. Giannis at number 8. Jalen Duren at number 9. That one was a big surprise to me. This comes from Courtside Heat NBA, but JD making a strong case on the MVP ladder, and then Tyrese Maxey. Will this change? This is one sports writer's opinion, but what are your thoughts on this? Do you think Cade is in the top 5 for MVP? Do you think there's someone on that list that he's better than? Maybe should be in the top 3, top 4? But you know who was not on that list? Who was Jalen Brunson? And a lot of people would say that Jalen Brunson is the better player, especially if they're a New York fan, they would say that. Of course, as Pistons fans, we do not enjoy watching Jalen Brunson play. He is the flopper / foul baiter in chief. But he's a phenomenal player. I got to give him props. He's a good player, just not that fun to watch, from my opinion, as a fan of basketball. But he did not make the list. And so I was surprised to see that. Again, one sports writer's list. And so what are your thoughts? Who's on that list that should not be on there? Who got left off the list that you think should be on there? But let's look at Cade's season that he's having. He's 10th in the league in scoring at 28.2 points per game. He's second in the league in assists at 9.3, just behind Joker. He leads the league in clutch points, or points in the fourth quarter, clutch time points, but primarily he has the most points in the fourth quarter of any player. He's in the top 25 in the league in steals. He's in the top 40 in blocks, which is phenomenal for a guard. And then he's in the top 50 in rebounds, which again is great for a guard. So Cade is impacting the game on both sides of the court. Statistically, he's having an incredible season. But is it an MVP type season? His team, of course, is 17-4, off to a great start. Best record in the East, number 1 team. And so Cade is really making a strong case for himself, in my opinion. A lot more needs to happen. There's some things that Cade needs to do. He's got to minimize the turnovers. He's got to cut down on some of those things. And, he's got to get more consistent throughout the game. Sometimes you won't see him show up until the third or fourth quarter in terms of shooting. And I realize a lot of defenses are coming with a game plan to isolate Cade and to stop him. But I think sometimes he's a little passive on offense. Would like to see him more consistently giving us buckets, especially when we're in times of low where we need to get those buckets. And so I'd love to hear from you in the comments. I got a lot of Pistons fans here. So what do you think? Is Cade legitimately, fandom aside, he's our guy, but is he legitimately having an NBA MVP type season? Is this just hype? Can he keep this up? I think we're seeing a special player really develop right before our very eyes. And so I think he's having a great season. I think he should definitely be in the conversation Is he the MVP of the league right now? I have to say, I don't think so. I think top 5 is fair. I think maybe I would put him above Austin Reeves, but above Joker, SGA, and Luka, I just don't think he's there yet. But he should be in the conversation. I'm glad that he is. I'm glad people are talking about it. So let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Should Cade be in this conversation? Is he having an NBA MVP type season? And then another creator also put out their early season prediction for all NBA teams. And so I'll just get right into who they had on their first team. I'm going to start with the third team. Third team All NBA, they had Steph, Anthony Edwards, KD, Wemby, and Sengun. Solid team there. That's what they have listed as their third team. For the second team, Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Brunson, Austin Reeves, Donovan Mitchell, and Jalen Johnson. So another great squad there. And so that leaves us to our first team, which is, this team is solid. SGA, Cade. They got Cade predicted to be a first-team All-NBA, which would be really, really cool. Luka, Giannis, and Joker. And so are those the 5 best players in the league? I think so right now, all around. I think those are the 5 best guys. Is Cade going to be a first-team All-NBA guy? I know a lot of Knicks fans would be really upset about that. There are, I mean, you read the comments, whenever there's any kind of Jalen Brunson hate going on online, the Knicks fans come out, they will defend him to the end. And, you know, maybe if he was our player, we would. I like to think, as a true basketball fan, as someone who loves the game, who coaches the game, I'm actually getting ready to coach a game tonight. I would say the style of play that he plays is not fun to watch. Again, I think Jalen Brunson is an absolutely phenomenal player. I think he's a clutch player. I think he cooked us in the playoffs. He got a lot of fouls that I didn't think were right. He throws himself into people. He flops on the ground, and the refs reward it. So does that make him just a smart player for doing that? Some might say yes. But a lot of people, especially in New York, and Knicks fans, are probably going to be hating on the fact that he's not in these conversations, not in these early season MVP conversations, not in the All-NBA first-team conversation. And so, Pistons fans, what do you think? Sound off in the comments. What do we think? Did Jalen Brunson get snubbed from the first team? Obviously, again, this is a prediction. It's not real. But who would your first team be? Is Cade on there? Again, I really try to separate my fandom from how I really see the game. And, you know, I certainly would not have said Cade last year was a first-team All-NBA player. And he wasn't. But I think this year he is really, really making a case. And if he can keep up what he's doing and the way he's playing, I think he will be on that first team come end of the season. So let me know your thoughts on that. Is Cade there? What do we think about that first team? Is there anyone that you would move around? I was surprised to see Wemby on third team, but really, who do you put him above? That's a tough one. But what do you think? And then also released were Kalshi Sports, which is an online sports gambling prediction, website that kind of gives odds and helps people determine different things. They put out there right now their favorites to win, or that most likely to win the East. And right now they have the Cavs are 27% favorite to win the East. They're number one. The Knicks are at 19%. The Pistons are at 13% odds to win. The Magic are right behind them with 11%, and then the Hawks at 8%. So, what are your thoughts on this? Are people sleeping on the Pistons? Are we a for real team? We've seen the last 2 games where the last 4 or 5 games we've really been struggling and got 2 losses and then got 2 wins that we just squeaked out and kind of fell apart down the stretch, but got it done where we needed to. Again, I'll say this over and over and over. A win is a win, but you should, just because it's a win doesn't mean you shouldn't address the same things you would address if it were a loss. So there's a lot for the coach and the coaching staff and the players to address. Some things have to get cleaned up, primarily the turnovers and the rotations. Again, I think the 2 go hand in hand. I think the often rotation of players is causing the issue with the turnovers. I think it's creating a lack of chemistry. It's putting guys on the court who are not having time to get into rhythm. And I think that's a big factor in why we're having so many turnovers. But 13% odds to come out of the East. What do you think? I think that's better than it would have been preseason. Their preseason predictions weren't that high. Most sports analysts were predicting the Pistons to finish in the top 5 or 6 like they did last year, perhaps win a first-round series. And what we've shown so far is that they are really a legitimate contender in the East, and they've moved up, but is 13% still too low? Are they still being underestimated? Or have they not been truly tested yet? A lot of people would say we really haven't played any really good teams yet. We played Cleveland and we got spanked. We played Orlando the other night and we lost to them. And so, how are we going to look when we start playing against some better teams? The East is wide open right now, so this is our chance to strike. But are the Pistons the favorite? In your opinion, what percentage would you, if you were a gambling person, or maybe you are, what odds would you say the Pistons have to win the East this year? This isn't even the NBA Finals. This is just the East. So let me know your thoughts about that. And then I want to round the episode off here. Just a quick one today, as we have a game tonight against Milwaukee. We played them once already this season. We beat them 129-116. Obviously, they were without Giannis, and so he makes an incredible difference. But can we minimize the turnovers tonight versus Milwaukee? Is that something that we're going to continue to struggle with? Can we beat Milwaukee with a healthy Giannis with those kind of turnovers? We're going to need both JD and Isaiah Stewart to stay out of foul trouble, to do some rim protection. We're probably going to need to see some B-ball Paul tonight to help us down there on the under the basket. But the Bucks right now are 9-13, not having a great season. They're 11th in the East. Of course, they've been dealing a lot with injuries, primarily with Giannis. Tonight, Duncan is still listed as a game-time decision, so we may not have Duncan Robinson tonight. It's not looking good. Sasser is still out. So 2 nights ago, we started Dennis Jenkins. Did not have a good game, did not play well. His worst game as a Piston for sure, but still put up 16 shots, has supreme confidence, but just did not look as poised as normal. I still think it's only one game. Everyone's going to have an off game. I think we still got to give him minutes, but should he start? I don't know. What I would like to see, maybe this is not the right decision as a coach, and I know he's still on minutes restriction, but I would love to see with Duncan out, let's work Jaden Ivey into the starting lineup tonight. Let's see how he does. He can still play limited minutes. He can still come out, have someone come off the bench for him. But I'd really like to see him have some minutes with the starting 5 or with Cade Cunningham primarily. I do not like seeing him and Karis LeVert on the court together. They do not mesh well. Again, you all know my opinions about Karis not really meshing well with our team in general. Although he has big moments. He had some big shots the other night. And so I want to give him love where it's due. Again, I just think the chemistry issue. So I would love to see Jaden Ivey get on that starting lineup. He needs to start building up some confidence. We need to really start testing him and just let him stay out there for a little bit. Instead of playing 3 or 4 stints in his 15 minutes, maybe let him do it in 2 stints where he's getting a 7-minute stretch and an 8-minute stretch, to where we can really let him get into rhythm and see how he does. These short little 3 to 4 minute stints are not really showing us anything other than a player who's still not in full NBA shape and still out of rhythm. For the Bucks, Gary Harris and Kevin Porter Jr. are listed as game time decisions, so they may not play. And then Taurean Prince is out, so they are down a few players. So how are they going to do tonight? Again, how will we do the rotations? Do you think something will be addressed? Obviously, we're having games every other night, so we're not getting a lot of practice time to really go in and figure these things out. We're having to figure these things out in game time situations. And so what do you think for tonight? So that's all I got for you guys tonight. Looking forward to another win tonight against the Bucks, making it 3 in a row. That would be great to see. But let me know your thoughts on these things. On this MVP ladder, is Cade an MVP caliber player this year? Should he be in the conversation? Is he a first-team All-NBA guy? What percentage would you give, what odds would you give the Pistons of coming out of the East? And then let me know your thoughts about tonight's game against the Bucks. What are some of the must things, the things we must do? What are some things that we have to address? Obviously, the turnovers is a big one for me. So, again, that's all I got. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends if they like the Pistons and they like raw, honest Pistons content from a basketball guy, from a longtime fan, and from a longtime basketball coach. This is the place to get it. We're going to just keep getting better and better and keep growing this channel. We're on our road to 2,500 subscribers, so if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that you get notified right away. And leave us a 5-star review if you like the content. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. I love reading those for you. Maybe on tomorrow's episode, we might address some of the comments we've been getting, and I'm enjoying getting to know that. So thank you for coming along. Thank you for joining. And as always, Detroit basketball. Let's go, baby.